today's episode, we're going to be finishing off the roofing, but we also have a couple of details we've got to finish off before we get to the roofing. You're watching Essentially Wood, a show about...
Oh, come on. It's just a show about everything you need to know about building wood.
What happens inside of the building? In pretty much every house I've ever lived in, it's always been curtains on the windows so you can't see what's going on inside. And that's kind of convenient, because if we do that on our models, then detailing the interior is not even a consideration to make. So on the rear wall of the building, we don't have any blinds. But on the side walls, I want to put blinds. So before we put our roofing on, we're going to be putting on blinds and making them from scratch. And then we're also going to put the main roof on, the roof on the tip out dormers, and maybe the back roof, I don't know. We'll see. Again, I hope you like watching these videos. If there's something that you don't like about these videos, just give me a shout. Today's episode starts with us installing the roofing on all of the various dormers and the main roof itself. Now, the roofing is card, and I have found over time that adding white glue to card really adds a lot of moisture to the card, making it brittle. Sometimes if you're looking for a cardboard edge, if you have it bent and it starts to expand, it really starts looking crappy. So I'm using crazy glue so that we can fix our roof to the building itself very quickly and efficiently, and in a way that doesn't allow water to get soaked into the cardboard. The other reason I like crazy glue is it sets up so fast. Can't beat it. You may notice that my crazy glue has a little nozzle on it, extending it and giving it a nice precision tip. I bought these off of eBay for like $6 for a bag of 100 of them. Great deal. Making my window blinds was extremely easy. I just painted a piece of paper with Depot Buff. I kind of like how the color kind of contrasts through the window, and it's so you can see it very nicely in a very subtle way. Now, I didn't want streaks on the blinds, so I put 2 coats on the paper. And then I cut it up into strips and just simply crazy glued it into place. Now, my crazy glue, there are some crazy glues that'll fog up your windows, but I have found that the crazy glue that I'm using, the LePage version, doesn't do that. And I have no problems with just throwing this crazy glue right beside the glazings that I had just added to the windows. Only because I've tested it in the past. And just like that, there we have it, a couple of window blinds, and they, as you can see, it's not hard to see them. I might have to trim these ones off. I'm gonna take a few minutes to finish adding all the rest of these roofs to the dormers of the building. After the break, we're gonna start painting our shingling and showing just how chaotic it is to get a natural look to shake shingles on a roof. It really isn't the most intuitive process, and you really have to work at it to get it wrong. Also, I'd like to point out what I consider to be a major flaw in the design of this building. And maybe if you're a manufacturer, you can see what my point of view is on this subject. Today's video is brought to you by Pelican Focus. Pelican Focus is the photo stacker that makes the most clear photographs that you could ever make. To get 20% off a lifetime license of Pelican Focus, go to modelersguild.com/HF. And we thank Pelican Focus for their support of our show. Now these videos are about how I've changed things or, little details along the way. It's not like a step-by-step on how to build this kit. So instead of using the black construction paper to install the valleys, I'm going to paint a piece of paper silver and use that instead. I'm doing that to add a contrast between the leaves that will be in the valley when I'm finished and the valley itself. In my experience, roofing can look really good or really bad by the way you paint the shingle. And for me, I like to start off very subtle and then add more detail as I go along. So I started my shingles off with camouflage tan spray paint, came back with my aged concrete by Dr. Benz, and then now I'm adding some Depot buff to add a little bit of color to the roofing. Now what we want are streaks going from up to down, and this is the streaking process of rainwater or maybe moss going in the path of rainwater. However, that in and of itself isn't enough to add texture and variation that these roofs have. So I'm gonna come back with some white paint on a sponge and just randomly dry brush blotches on the roof. Now, don't worry if this doesn't look right, because you're gonna take each sheet of shingle off and mix them all up like a mosaic. Now, it took about 4 days to complete the roofing on this model, and I decided that it would be too boring to show you it all. And also, if I have to show you how to add shingles to a model, then I don't know, I'm not feeling it. However, after adding all my shingles using slate gray mixed with alcohol, which coagulated, and that's fine, I used that to streak the roofing. Then I came back with a charcoal gray, a much darker gray, and added that to alcohol and used that to streak down the walls, and you can see those streaks here. The streaks don't go on nicely. You have to run your finger along it to run it out, to blend it into the roofing and stuff. But the alcohol really pulls that into the roofing and makes it a stain as opposed to a paint. So it works really well. Here's a shot of the slate gray, and it totally coagulates. It totally looks like you just really screwed it up. If this was a glass of milk, you would be throwing it out. But let's not throw it out. Use it. Trust me. The next model is the charcoal gray, much darker. And all we're doing to the roof is adding a highly, it's 90% alcohol, 10% paint. And what you're doing is you're pulling this alcohol down the roof and it's penetrating the shingle itself. And that's how I did this. After the break, we'll discuss why, number one, I didn't record the making of this roof, and number two, why I have a gripe with the design of this model. I have been sharing my scale modeling experiences on YouTube free of charge for over 2 years now. In that time, I've invested a lot of time and money into this project. Projects like these need funding to grow, and I'm asking for your help. Patreon.com/Ron Pare. So what is it that I don't like so much about the way the roofing was designed on this model? Well, I'd first like to say that I think it's a great idea that the shingle rows were laser cut into the roofing itself, and that there's two-sided tape on the roofing. That's great, but that's not where the two-sided tape should go. And I don't know what the reason is why the two-sided tape is on the roofing as opposed to the shingles. Anybody who has shingled a house on their own knows that you nail the shingles to the roof. And I don't know if this is a perfect analogy, except for the fact that, like on a real roof, on this roof, the shingle is half covered by the row below it. Now, when you only have two-sided tape on the roofing itself, that means that only a small, insignificant portion of the shingle comes in contact with the two-sided tape, meaning that all your shingles stick up in the air. And the solution to this, at least in my shop, the solution was to add wet water to the roofing to soak it down, which ruined all the two-sided tape on the bottom, and add mycenic glue to the shingles because I knew it was going to penetrate all the layers all the way down to the roofing itself, solidifying the roof. The moral of the story is try not to put your two-sided tape on the roofing. Put it on the shingles if you're a manufacturer and you got a nice laser. If you're going to put roofing onto a building itself, sure, two-sided tape is going to affix your shingles for a short-term period while you get it ready to glue it at the end, because that two-sided tape is only temporary. I've seen many modelers, many experienced modelers, try to tell you to use two-sided tape and to depend on it for years and years to come. I'm telling you that's a lie, and I just know it's a lie. Two-sided tape doesn't last. In our next video, we're going to tackle the boat. I jump about 30 pages in the book, but this whole roofing fiasco kind of got me all worked up, and I want to build something new, something that's going to challenge me a little bit, like this boat.